A very good morning to you. Welcome to the Breakfast Club. My name is Brighton Ncube. We bring you another edition of Elections where we seek to profile and interview different electoral candidates who are aspiring members of parliament or councillors. Over the past weekend, we've been giving you these interviews, but today I have a guest, Aleck Ndlovu, from Ward 25, aspiring councillor for CCC. Good morning, sir. Welcome to this Breakfast Club.
Good morning, my brother. I'm very happy and thankful to be here, Mr. Brighton.
All right, so let's touch about who is Aleck Ndlovu in terms of political aspirations and also in terms of a community leader.
All right, Aleck Ndlovu is a resident of Ward 25, who has been there for the past 33 years. Let me say, since that community was birthed, I've been resident there, and I've been exposed to a lot of leadership positions, both at the most basic level of leadership, what we normally call Zibute. Residents Association. That's the lowest. These are sectional leaders where you lead at the local level. You coordinate a lot of activities there, be it readiness for funerals, be it readiness for fighting criminality in the area, be it organizing the community for public meetings. So that's the lowest rung of leadership. I've been there. I've also risen above that and led at the highest level. I've been a BUPRA ward chairperson in Ward 25. This has exposed me to leadership experience at the highest level because I was chairing residents' meetings at the highest level, which is at ward level. So it has given me a lot of experience. I've also worked as a school chairperson, the SDC chair. I've also worked as a BEAM chairperson, the Basic Education Assistance Module, where we used to, look for people who need school fees assistance. Yeah, back then, remember, there was no corruption. Our system was very credible. We would actually identify students on merit, not through corruption and other, ills that are not desirable. Yeah. I've also led quite a number of funeral plan organizations which are operational in the community, all to do with the welfare and the well-being of the community. Yeah, basically, that's who am I.
You've been part of this community for more than maybe 3 decades, let's say 3 decades, right?
Yes.
What are some of the challenges that you have seen in terms of community challenges that you have seen in that community? You've seen leaders come as councillors and go. What are some of the critical issues that you've seen as challenges in Ward 25?
All right, what I've seen happening in Ward 25 is that, naturally we have had the best of leadership and we have had mediocre leadership and we have had some who have not done very well. And this is actually what inspired me to say, no, this time around, let me throw in my head and try and put my skills to test to see that with this background of 3 decades, what can I bring to the people of Ward 25? We have seen ups and downs in leadership, qualities, we have seen it all. Yeah.
You've been part of this vote, part of maybe BUPRA as well, and also IPM as scholar, and also SDC as scholar.
Yes.
How important are these associations, in particular Uzvote, in terms of community development?
All right, I would say those are very important associations in terms of administration of the ward, because the councillor is sitting at the apex of the ward as the city father or as a first citizen of the ward. But then these people now are in charge of ward sections of the ward. There are subcommittees there who look after the interests of those particular residents in terms of service delivery challenges at a local level. Things to do with provision of lighting, storm drainage, you look at issues to do with littering, you look at issues to do with grass cutting, you look at all those things, but they are looking at those issues at a local level. And also they coordinate residents for ward meetings. If there's going to be a ward meeting, you simply contact the square chairperson and his committee. Then they mobilize residents for the ward meeting. So they are actually an arm of the ward residents committee. They help manage those sections on behalf of the bigger committee, which operates at ward level. They also coordinate, assistance to do with funerals, bereavements do okay. from time to time. And usually these people, they have got associations that help by way of finance. They actually make sure that each member of that community is associated by way of joining fees. And when a bereavement occurs, there is a payout that is made. And it actually eases the pressure of the difficulty to do with burying your beloved ones.
I've also seen in terms of my community where I come from, where Izakhamuzi most of the time they blame councillor for not attending Infa. According to your own view, what's the role of a councillor?
Yeah, well, the role of a councillor, I would mention three main important areas that the councillor must do. Number one, a councillor is a representative. He is a representative of the ward, which means to say, in terms of what transpires in council, he would actually take what the council comes up with, does what is called feedback, through a feedback meeting. And in turn, he also takes the aspirations and the input of the residents, takes it to council. So he's like a bridge. He's like an intermediary between the residents at grassroots level and the council as an institution. So he's like the go-between. Yes, he articulates policy and also takes the concerns of the residents back to council. The second role of a councillor is to actually come up with policies, legislation, though it is not the same as national legislation, but it's confined to the city. They are usually called bylaws. Yeah, these are laws or policies that the council comes up with to ensure that the city is run in the best interest of the residents. So they make bylaws, and from time to time there is need to review them if they become outdated. Then the third role of a councillor is oversight. The councillor is one person who must preside over all the affairs of the city. A councillor primarily is charged with what matters. But then there is the overall, although he looks at what matters, they would from time to time engage with other councils. They sit at what is called the full council. In the full council there, they will be looking at issues to do with Bulawayo in general. So the oversight role comes in that aspect, that they will be looking at the interests of Bulawayo in every department, in every section, in every area, in every department. Councillors have the final say. That's the oversight role. Yeah.
I'm sure you've been following in terms of the council saying to maybe do roads or to fix some sewer problems in Bulawayo. So the problem is finances in Bulawayo. Yeah. Suppose elected as a councillor for Ward 25, how can you advise the councillor in terms of committee and so on, how to can generate revenue for the council of Bulawayo?
Yeah, the Urban Council Act says that service delivery must take 70% of the budget towards service delivery. Then these other things like administrative costs and salaries must take away a chunk of 30%. So I believe that is the best way to go. Much more of the council revenue must go towards service delivery. And the issue of finances has been a topical one. There's been a talking point because there are issues to do with the legislative framework in the country. You find that city councils do not have it all in their way. The funding that, if I can compare the present scenario and the years gone by, city council used to have a lot of revenue streams from such sources as car licensing. City council used to have sources from such sources as power generation. But all those were taken away when this animal called Zinara came into being. All car licensing is now centralized. It's going into a national consolidated revenue fund. And now the plowback part of it is the contentious issue. Because now Zinara does not disperse enough funding for local authorities so that they can effectively discharge the duties that are expected of them. So I think the challenge there regards financing is to do with the legislative framework that is in place at the moment. Yes.
But also, if you look at, you've lived in Bulawayo for 3 decades, more than 3 decades perhaps.
Yes.
But I've stayed in 125 for 3 decades. If you can compare that Bulawayo then and Bulawayo now, where can you say we've missed it in terms of service delivery, in terms of infrastructure development, in terms of building malls, building different things? Where did we miss it as Bulawayo?
Yeah, I would say literally in almost all the aspects. Because you look at it, whether you're looking at roads, the roads have actually decayed. They are so dilapidated that it's so painful to even imagine how people are able to drive around in roads in that state. We have also lost it in terms of water supply. Water supply, you know, I know again, there's the animal called Zino, which is responsible for what? For coming up or building dams, new dams for the city. Yet, it is not an ideal setting because Bulawayo is supposed to have a water supply which keeps pace with the development or the population growth of the city. But now Zinoa seems to have not played ball. You know, we still have the same number of dams that we used to have 3 decades ago. Apart from 1 or 2, you talk of Mchabezi, which is a contested water supply because the Gwanda, it needs that water, but Bulawayo also is drawing water from there. You look at services like storm drainage, it's gone down the drain. Public lighting, yes, here and there, you get them being repaired, but I would say generally there has been a decay in service delivery. Even you look at the state of our sewerage system, it's terrible. And it's difficult to understand really how people have survived. It's through the grace of the Lord that people are alive today. Because if you look at the amount of sewage that is on the streets and amongst the suburbs, in the suburbs, it's really terrible. We have really failed in those aspects. Back then we didn't used to have all this. Yeah, I think I can go on. Even you look at grass cutting on the edges of the road. Sometimes you find that a road sign has been obscured by overgrown trees and grass, and very little is being done to do those clearances. Generally, I would say service delivery has really gone down in those aspects. Yeah,
you've been part of SDC for a number of for school in a community.
Yeah.
Let's talk about education in terms of schools run by council. What's your view in terms of education, quality of education in schools that are run by the council?
I wouldn't really complain in terms of the quality of education. It is okay because there are issues to do with staffing. Staffing is okay, but the challenge has been much to do with hot seating. Yeah, I think on the infrastructure side, that's where I think the council schools have really not come up to standard. The infrastructure side, the buildings, so much so that the parents through the SDCs, you know, the committees that run the school, they have had to actually request the parents to put up additional building blocks. Yet that is council responsibility. But in most cases, SDCs have come in, and other people, well-wishers, have also come in to build additional blocks. But the quality of education, I wouldn't complain. Apart from that, there is hot seating in most part of the schools. The staffing, we know it is the ministry that pays the teachers. But all the other things are a responsibility of council to do with the education.
Yeah, from a number of interviews that I've done, I think Konapa Skuluma around the issue of culture, preservation of culture, to say parties must deploy people are coming from that area. How important it is for parties to deploy people coming from that particular area? For example, come from 125 and deploying there. How important is that aspect?
Yeah, it is important. One, in the sense that I've been there, I've seen the community grow up, I'm grounded there, my roots are there. I know the challenges and the aspirations of the community, be it in terms of education or, you know, other recreational facilities, it could be social amenities. I know exactly what the people want. It is important for this person to be one who is grounded, who knows the culture, who knows the ethics, who knows, you know, the traditions, who even is fluent in the language. because it will be difficult for someone who is not conversant in the local language to preside over a ward in which people speak a language that it doesn't articulate efficiently. So it is very important for myself as a local person who understands the needs of Ward 25, the challenges, and the vision, the goal of the ward, what the people need, the kind of service delivery that the people want. I've got them in my fingertips. Yeah.
All right. First, just joining us, this is the Breakfast Club. My name is Brighton, and my guest is Aleck Ndlovu, CCC Aspiring Councillor for Ward 25. We're talking about these elections, visions, as it comes to go to the polls. But Mr. Ndlovu, let's talk about now the issue of, I spoke about that is voter area earlier. I want to say,
yes.
There's voter and then there's a councillor there.
Yes.
Is there a linkage between this voter and councillors? How you conduct your duties between this voter as well as councillor?
Yes, there is. In fact, in situations where a councillor is one who understands his role properly, he must actually accommodate and embrace the role of these voter leaders. But in most cases, you would find that some people tend to have differences that are not resolved. And the councillor operates in an atmosphere where the voter committees are pulling towards one direction, and the others are pulling towards other directions, and he is also pulling towards his own direction. But what I'm promising Ward 25 is that the voter leadership is a very, very important element of community leadership, insofar as it actually aids or helps the councillor in actually making sure that certain duties are carried out. They actually they complement his role, because he can even assign some of the committees or chairpersons to do certain tasks and bring reports to him, you know? Because one thing for certain is that the councillor cannot be in every part of the ward at the same time. For instance, let's talk of the issue of bereavements. Yeah. You can have at any one time bereavements happening in more than 3 places at once. So those people are then deployed to go there and do the councillor's messaging in his absence, or when he attends to other bereavements elsewhere. But those are not primarily the roles of a councillor. But he does also has to join a community that is grieving, that is mourning the loss of their beloved ones. But he can effectively do that when he works very well with his voter leadership. Yeah.
Now let's move on to the issue of privatization. In Bulawayo, there's been this privatization of many things. You know, the parking system, you know, the malls are now given tender to other people, and it's just being stolen for many years. What's your take on the issue of privatizing different things like parking, for example? What's your take on that?
Yeah, I don't think I share the view that privatization should be allowed in almost all the aspects of the city. Like, for instance, you are giving the example of parking. It is important that council maximizes and takes advantage of all the revenue streams that are available to it, because you find that all that money is now going into private hands. Yet it could have come into council coffers. These are opportunities which council is not supposed to let go. You know, recently there was a rumor that someone was bringing up the idea that the whole security of city council must be put into private hands. I totally disagree with that, because those people from time to time, they do review their contracts, and it could end up being a very expensive and costly exercise. You know, there are so many areas where council has privatized. Even we look at the issue of beer halls. The beer curtains way back, they were a very, very huge revenue stream for city council. And the revenue from those areas was channeled into service delivery areas, like, you know, road maintenance, storm drainage maintenance, you know, all the aspects that you can think of. But now that they are in private hands, council has failed to run. I think it was an issue of administration, efficient administration. Those should have been cash cows for council, which council should have used, engaging technocrats, people with the proper management skills, so that they run efficiently and make a revenue for council.
Another big elephant in the room is the issue of vendors in Bulawayo. You know, when you walk around 6th Avenue there, you find vendors all over the pavement. As an incoming councillor, suppose you win this election, how will you address the issue of vendors in Bulawayo?
All right, the issue of vendors, which we normally call the informal sector, it's a very important sector. And what we need to understand is that the economy has gone down the drain. And we've got multitudes of people who have found themselves losing jobs from industry, from mining. We have had people losing jobs from commercial sector. People have come from the rural areas. And of late, we have had returnees from the sub-region, the South African returnees. Now, the streets are so flooded. So what I think is best for council, and what I think I'm going to agitate for, is for council to leverage. Instead of chasing those people around, we need to leverage on the numbers of people who are selling on the streets. How do we leverage from that? We need to engage what we call informal trader associations. I can give you one big, giant vendor association which is mobilizing people in a way that has never been seen before. It's called BVTA, Bulawayo Vendors and Trader Association. I happen to have led several portfolios in that organization. We then need to encourage all those people who are selling on the streets, on the pavements, to affiliate to an organization like that, so that then council can allocate them land from where they can operate. In those stalls, we need decent working places, which are going to be, you know, what we normally call all-weather trading places, so that come rain, those people will be housed. Come sunshine, they are under protection. Come windstorms, they are under protection. And by encouraging those people to affiliate, it means council will then be getting a lot of revenue, because those associations normally, they encourage people to do licensing. Yes, they don't operate, they don't encourage chaotic, disorderly vending. Associations encourage orderly trading, where people will sell from designated places and also operating with licenses. And that pattern must be adopted not only in the CBD, but it must be adopted even in the western suburbs, because you realize that the CBD is too congested. So we need to actually look at places in the western suburbs where we can build decent, safe workspaces for vendors from where they are going to operate. Build the stalls, put storage facilities, put security, so that people, when they dismiss, they leave their storage there. They go home. And possibly put lighting and electricity, so that it will be like a proper working place. I think that way, council can realize the so much needed revenue if they can have these places identified and put up in almost all the western suburbs. Very much along the lines of, you know, the decentralization which was behind the formation of these shopping malls. You have your Ntumbane Mall, you have your Nkulumane malls. That was the idea of actually decongesting the CBD. Have people get access to all what they want within touching distance of where they were staying. Yeah, so the same applies to vendors. Looking at their numbers, because the sector is so flooded, like we did say, if those people could pay a certain nominal fee for their licenses, council could realize the much needed revenue which they so much desire.
Yeah. Let's move on to your campaign now. Have you been starting campaigning? Have you been doing door-to-doors in your local area?
Yeah, we have just started this past week, because remember, we are fresh from the nomination court. Yeah, it hasn't been long after we were confirmed as candidates. So we have earnestly started, you know, flying around and making sure that we put out our campaign to key stakeholders in the ward. Yeah, it has just begun. Let me put it that way. It has just begun.
Lastly, let's wrap up the show this morning. If I'm coming from a ward, I'm watching the show this morning, Convince me, why should I vote for Aleck Ndlovu comes to Ward 25? There's the camera there. Why should I vote for you?
You must vote for me because currently you look at there's a lot of politicization of almost every aspect of the ward, be it selection committees, community working groups, be it SDCs, be it the selection of BIM beneficiaries, be it the selection of these, what you call ward sweepers, be it the disbursement of donor assistance. There's a lot of politicization that I've seen. All I'm promising the people is that we need to depoliticize such services to the community. We need servanthood. We need people who are God-fearing. We need people who are going to work with the totality of the community, embrace everyone, respect leadership at Zwote level, respect leadership at ward level, respect religious leaders, respect almost all what I can refer to as multi-stakeholder leaders in the community. And that's the difference which I'm going to bring. I'm going to bring harmony in the ward, which I believe now is not existing. There are a lot of divisions. There's a lot of polarization as a result of failure to embrace and respect that everyone is a resident first before they are anything else. And here is a person who is going to harmonize and bring cohesion in the ward so that everyone can be happy and have a sense of belonging in the ward.
Thanks so much for your time this morning. I'm looking forward to hearing from you after the elections. All the best on the election.
Thank you very much, Brighton.
Thanks.
God bless. All right.
You've been watching The Breakfast Club. My name is Brighton. I was interviewing Aleck Ndlovu, CCC Aspiring Councillor for Ward 25. Hope you guys enjoy the show and do follow aside for more programs around elections and giving all updates are happening around elections. For myself, Brighton, it's bye for now.